everyone, it's Teresa Green from Slow Paths Wellness, and it's Wellness Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday, this is only, I think, the second video that I've done for it, so it is one focusing a little bit more on the overall wellness and Asian medicine side of what I do, and it's going to be talking a little bit more about practical things you can do in your own life from a wellness perspective. Mindful Monday is more about dealing with your viewpoint for life, the thoughts that you choose, and being able to have that mind-body connection where you're dealing with calming yourself, taking a moment and resting. And then Functional Friday, which is another new thing I'm doing, focuses more on functional medicine specifically as opposed to overall wellness. And Wellness Wednesday at the moment, for at least, is also going to have a lot of the Asian medicine side of things, which is my beginnings of healthcare. I've been about 20 years doing Asian medicine, including acupuncture, custom clinical herbalism, and some different body work forms. So today I'm going to do another overview like I did last time. Last time was kind of an overview of the outlook of healthcare. This is an overview of the basic the basic parts of what makes a whole healthy person, which categories you need to be looking at. And I've gotten my information partly from my background in Asian medicine, partly from my background in functional medicine, and then a lot from different reading that I've done in studying with different people. So I really like the book AntiCancer Living by Lorenzo, Cohen, and Alison, Jeffries, Blue Zone Solution with Dave Buettner, and Eat to Beat Disease by William Lee are three of my favorite books on these topics. And so some of the information that I'll talk about is covered in there, but in a little bit of, a lot of times, a slightly different way than the way that I'll talk about it today. So these are basics that most healthcare providers of any kind would agree with. And once you hear them, you'll kind of go, well, yeah, that makes sense. But a lot of times, knowing something that is very common sense and down to earth and actually applying it to your life are two different things. So I'm going to go over the broad overview this time, and then in later Wellness Wednesdays we'll go over some of the specifics. So the first one I like to talk about is the idea of our relationships and our support system, because it's one that a lot of times gets kind of left behind in healthcare. So support system relationships are the people around you, no matter who they are, whether they're parents, co-workers, supervisors, therapists, friends, whoever they are, people that you read books from, even, although that's not the closest of relationships, but people that you enjoy interacting with and you feel whole in their presence, and you feel like you're able to grow and really be yourself in their presence. And I know for many people, especially if you've had a chaotic upbringing when your childhood or some trauma in your life, you may not have a lot of people where that kind of relationship really exists. So that's one of those things that you can talk to a therapist about. You can look up books on things like boundaries, things like authenticity. Brene Brown has lots and lots and lots of really good information about that. Nedra Tawwab has some really good information about boundaries, as does Henry Cloud and John Townsend. And some of the life coaching side of things that I do, we talk about both boundaries and authenticity. And on my Mindful Monday podcasts or videos, we talk a little bit about that, because some of that is a self-care, compassionate self-care issue. And as you become more compassionate and more caring for yourself, what you allow other people to do in your presence, or what the treatment you accept from other people, will change, so that you're both giving better treatment to others and only allowing yourself to receive better treatment from others. So that's the first one, and there'll be this. Most of the things that are kind of specific to this would be more of a Mindful Monday topic, but some of them will be here on Wellness Wednesdays. The next one is rest, and rest is one of those things that everybody talks about, and a lot of people just don't really take seriously. We now know, and we'll be going into much more detail in a later Wellness Wednesday for this, but we now know that rest is critical for health. Not just important, not just a good idea, but absolutely critical, to the point that some people take a poor rest schedule, having really bad sleep patterns, as a risk factor for cancer, for diabetes, for heart disease, because your body just cannot function if it doesn't get adequate rest. So we'll talk more about that in a later Wellness Wednesday, but for this one, I just want to put the idea in your head. Let's start looking at rest as a very serious thing that we really want to get and we really want to do well. And that can be sleep. It can also be downtime. So if all your downtime is adrenaline rush things or movies or go, run, there's a place for that. But if that's all you have, you're probably not giving your body the downtime that it actually needs. So that's rest. Next one, stress management, which fits a little bit with the relationship category. Again, that's one that we talk a lot about in Mindful Mondays because self-care and self-compassion go a long way to dealing with stress. Understanding that you have a lot more control over your thoughts and the way that you express your emotions and the way that you experience your emotions can also do a great deal for stress management. And that's something, again, we mostly talk about on Mindful Mondays, but it will pop up here because there's also a lot of physiological aspects to stress management. And then next we have exercise. So exercise is one of those things, again, that most people know, oh yeah, I should be doing that. But a lot of times people either get in one ditch or the other. They either think, okay, I don't like it, doesn't feel good, not good at it, and don't do it at all. Or on the not doing it category, I don't do it well, so I don't feel good. I don't feel like I'm accomplished at it, so I shouldn't do it. Or they jump on the other side and they're constantly exhausting themselves with levels of exercise that are just not good for them, their personal body, their personal self. So exercise is not my primary training. It's more just what I do myself and the information I've gathered along the way. But there are plenty of resources out there. If you want to learn more about a healthy exercise program, your physician can probably be of help in directing you towards more help. There are personal trainers, some physical therapists have backgrounds in that, and YouTube and Google are full of people that are good at exercise and make a living at it. I do recommend that you look into plenty of stretching and into anything that helps you get your mind and body together. If your only form of exercise is something where you have your headphones on listening to podcasts or you're watching TV the whole time that you're exercising, you will get some benefit from it. So please don't stop doing that if that's the only way that it seems like it works for you. But putting those two together, giving yourself a chance to be moving around and noticing how you're moving, what it feels like to move, it actually strengthens a lot more things. So things like yoga, things like qigong, things like mindful walking, where you're really taking in what's around you if you're walking outside or in a pleasant environment. Those things are very, very helpful in kind of ramping up the benefits of regular exercise. So we've gone through support systems, rest, stress management, exercise, and then we finally get to when most people think about diet. Now, diet's something that we will talk a lot about here on Wellness Wednesdays because Asian medicine has a lot to think about it, functional medicine has a lot to think about it, and it's something that you can really do a tremendous amount to help yourself with. In the Eat to Beat Disease book that I mentioned earlier by William Lee, he talks a lot about specific foods that are not just generally good for you, but have very specific benefits to fight against things like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and even depression. And so we'll do a lot of extra information on this on Wellness Wednesdays. We'll go kind of deep dive into some of these different topics to help you, because in the broad scheme of things, there are all these different diets, and sometimes one works better for someone than another one. But the basics of it are: eat food that is in as good condition as possible. It's as healthy as it can be. So for most people, that means as whenever possible to eat organic, because that means the plant is healthy. If you're eating meat products, to eat healthy meat products, so things that are grass-fed, pasture-raised, where the animal itself is very healthy, isn't being kind of kept going on antibiotics and crappy food, because that's what's coming into you too. And to emphasize plants. Almost every diet program, not 100%, but almost every diet plan I've seen emphasizes high fiber, lots of vegetables, and minimal processed foods. So that's a very simple overarching thing you can do that's pretty universal. There's not many people, as I said, there are a couple, but not many people that would find that unhealthy. So that's the general for diet, and we'll talk more about that as well. Then the last one is what we call toxic exposures. That's something that in functional medicine is a big part of what they talk about. We do talk about it in Asian medicine, but it's maybe not quite as big of a deal because the testing isn't something that so much is done there. Now, toxic exposures is also a modern problem, which is another reason why Asian medicine, which is by some estimates 3,000 years old, is not quite as big of an issue. Now, toxic exposures are physical exposures and also more figurative exposures to toxicity, and both of them can be really, really bad for you. So again, we'll talk more about that in more detail later on, but for a quick kind of idea, one of the things that you can do to minimize toxic exposures is to notice what comes into your presence, what you allow around. So for instance, body care products. A lot of body care products have chemicals in them that are called, as far as their function, sort of xenoestrogens, which means that they affect your reproductive system in a way that's unhealthy and have been linked to cancer. Some of them also are neurotoxins, especially some of the things that have common ingredients in them with things that you would find like pesticide use in general. They're neurotoxins. That's how they kill pests, is by attacking their nervous system. And especially for people who have a sensitivity to things like that, and that can be genetic as well as what we call epigenetic, which is where you may have the genes for it, but without certain lifestyle factors in place, it doesn't affect you as badly as it could. Then those exposures can lead to all kinds of health problems. They've been linked to everything from cancer or heart disease to just like chemical sensitivity in general. So that's one thing of toxic exposures, are things where you have a physical exposure to something that is either something like that, where it's a body care product or a cleaning product or something like that, or something that's in your environment. So some parts of the world, just in the ground, there's a higher level of things like arsenic or mercury or something like, or cadmium or something like that. And so foods you eat from that will have some levels of that toxin in them. And knowing about that can be useful, because then you may need to either watch your food sources or eat something or take a supplement that helps to combat your absorption of this sometimes dangerous or toxic substance. Now, toxic exposures also have another side, and that's when we kind of work on a little bit more with the Mindful Monday, or maybe with some later life coaching programs I want to put together, and that's things that are emotionally or mentally or spiritually toxic to you. So that can be anything from critical coworkers who, are critical family members, people who, you just kind of always feel like you're kind of having to cringe in their presence, or people who don't have good emotional equilibrium, and that can be yourself too. If you feel like you are constantly being pulled around by your emotions, that can become toxic to you. It's a toxic exposure that you're allowing yourself to be involved in, and it's a skill set. There are things you can do to change it. It doesn't happen overnight, but it is a skill set, and it's something that I help people work with here at Slow Paths Wellness. And then there's also the idea of your surroundings, which are both kind of a physical and an emotional thing. If you are in a place that you just find ugly, that it's frustrating to be in. So I know sometimes if people, when they have renovations done on their house, it's a short-term thing where it just seems like everything is in the way, everything's in upheaval, everything's uncomfortable. And then some people live like that most of the time, and that can also take a toll. That is a kind of toxic exposure that making a change in that can make a really big difference in your life quality. So for today's Wellness Wednesday, we've gone kind of blitzed through a lot of different topics that can affect your wellness and your health, and we're going to pick and choose those as time goes on and do some specific episodes where we talk about some of those topics in a little bit more detail. Now, if you have a specific topic you would like to hear more about, you can put it in the comments down below the video, or you can go to my website, slowpathswellness.com, and there's a contact form there. You can fill that out and ask for the information that you're wanting to be included in a later video. Now, As I put in all the videos that I put up, I can't answer specific healthcare questions. That's unethical because I don't know you, I don't know your specific information, and the things that I would tell you would not be necessarily accurate or best for you as an individual. But I can answer general questions. I will put them together into a video as possible. So thank you very much for watching my video today. Please like or subscribe or share the video if you found it helpful. And have a wonderful week, and I will see you on the next Wellness Wednesday.